everybody. Welcome to Between the Speakers, brought to you by FUSER. I'm your host, Simon Rex, and yes, I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt. I think it's a Hawaiian shirt. I don't know what. Is this Hawaiian? Yeah. I think so. Yeah, this is a Hawaiian shirt. Thank you. You're welcome. Yes. I know. It's very exotic. It's very special. I have what they call fashion sense, all right? Oh, man, how are you guys doing out there today? I know I'm doing good. How's your quarantine life treating you? Are you going a little kooky yet? I know, I go back and forth. Sometimes I'm feeling like, okay, I got this under control, and sometimes I feel like I could be losing the plot a little bit. So I recently quit coffee for a month, and I started again, as you can tell. Sometimes you just need a little... Sometimes you just need a little to get your day going, right? So I'm back on the coffee. Please forgive me. There could be worse things that someone does with their life. So I'm back on the coffee. And the problem with coffee is I get an extreme high and an extreme low. So I kind of get like the high, and then I'm going to get a crash in a little bit. And then you need another one, and therein lies the problem. Therein lies the conundrum. It's a cyclical affair. It goes, and where does it end? And then you stop, and you need like 2 or 3 days to detox. You got to go to black tea for a couple of days. It's no fun, all right? Anyway, ADD. Today, we have an amazing guest, Selema Masekela. Okay, it used to be Sal. We'll probably get into that because I know recently he told me he legally changed his... No, he didn't legally change his name, but he's known as Sal Masekela to most of you guys. But we're going to get into... his name change, which is, I think, a beautiful thing, and I approve. I approve of him doing that. And I recently, he's got some really cool stuff. He's been on, he's hosted the Olympics, he's hosted the X Games, MTV. The guy's done everything, and man, he's just a multifaceted man. Surfs, snowboards, jiu-jitsu. He's that boy. So I always like talking with Sal. We're gonna get into it a little bit. We'll get Sal on the show. I'll show him some clips from the game. He's my age. We've been around the block, baby, and he's a gamer. He's played video games for most of his life like me, and you know what? He's just an all-around good dude, So what else is going on in the world, guys? Jeez, you try to make these... let me try to lean back a little bit. Thank you. All right. Let me tell you guys a little something. Pull up a chair. You try to make these shows evergreen. You don't want to make them too topical because, if you watch this in a year from now, if you're talking about what's going on in the news, then it's going to seem a little bit like, what's he talking about? Who cares about that sports team that ran me? Speaking of sports, do you guys miss it yet? Because I know I do. I am really missing watching NBA, which will be back. I'm really missing what's going to happen with my 49ers. I'm a big 49ers fan. That means we lost the Super Bowl last year. So, yeah, I'm a big 49ers fan. I'm ready for that to come back. I'm ready for my Warriors to rebuild. I'm ready for sports in general because you're just sitting around. It's like I actually saw this the other day. On television, they had, I believe it was a football, like Madden football game. They were playing video games of sports on TV, and that was what was on television. I was like, is this what it's come to? We need sports back. We need it. But I understand you got to be, considerate and cognizant of the pandemic, so you let things slide. But people, we need sports. You realize it's really beyond just being entertained. It's tribal. What happens when you have your home team, it's a deep-rooted thing of unity with other people. Where else do you get to be one with so many other people that you're all on the same page and high-five? And I was recently in Asia, and I was watching my 49ers, go march their way to the Super Bowl, and I would have to go in Bangkok to a bar that showed sports at 4:30 in the morning. They'd open for the Super Bowl. That's how dedicated I was to my 49ers. I'd get up early in the morning, and I would go to a bar in Bangkok, and there'd be, let's just say they were playing the Seattle Seahawks that week, and there'd be a group of Seattle Seahawks guys on one side of the bar and 49ers fans on the other, all Americans. And it's like, I was realizing, I was like, wow, this is a real tribal thing, right? It's like deeply rooted in us to like us and them, like and because we don't battle on the battlefield as men anymore, that we do it through sports. So I think we're missing a deep integral part of the connection to the spirit of combat and warriors that we don't really have. So yeah, I miss it. And I'm sure you do too. Oh man. And it's like, just watching a video game on TV is not cutting it for me. I'm going to need some real human beings playing. And it's so weird too. I'm sure you guys have seen in the UFC, these people fighting in the empty arena, and you could hear them talking to their corner. It's almost like watching a street fight. They're just scrapping, and you could hear every nuanced little sound. And I actually kind of like it, to be honest. I'm very entertained by the UFC without the crowd. But it's just so interesting. Like, do these UFC fighters, how do they train if they can't, train with COVID? Like, what's going on? I don't understand how all this works. I'm fascinated with it. I think Sal will help better explain a lot of this stuff for me because he's very savvy with the sports world. So without further ado, I say we find him. Let's see if he's around and see if Sal could explain to me how that works, because I'm a complete idiot and I have no idea about anything. So here we go. Tell me, is it, because I've known you as Sal.
Yes, you have known me as Sal, but my government name is Selema Masekela. Selema Mabena would be the middle part. Masekela. But for years, when I first started in television, I used to get fonted as Selema, and then people, if they wanted to call me Sal, they call me Sal, but they would honor my name.
It's funny.
And I had this TV executive one day who was like, it's kind of hard for those folks in the Midwest to pronounce your name when they see it. And I was like, it's not that hard. It's 3 syllables. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want to help them along. And he's like, oh, this really African name is freaking you out. So you'd be happier if I just did this. I did for a long time. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. He even gave me like in the quotes, like Sal Masekela. It just has a ring to it. And I've always wanted to go back to Selema. Everyone in my family calls me Selema. If I'm dating a woman and we become intimate, it's like, you can't call me Sal in bed. That's just not going to work. I need to hear the roots of my existence.
Yeah, well, Sal, you sound like an Italian hitman,
Yes, and it basically, here's what I decided during this time. It is just probably going to sound aggressive, but in the midst of everything that we've been talking about as far as social justice is concerned, and all these different manners in which we're willing to take a look at racism and systemic racism as a society, I just decided that, you know what, like if Black people are going to get killed just for being Black, I'm going to lose anything that makes me more palatable or easy to swallow for people who aren't Blacks convenient. And so I just woke up one morning in the midst of everything a few weeks ago, and I was like, that's it. Sal's done.
Good for you,
bro. And I went on the gram, and I was like, I changed everything, and I feel like incredibly empowered to be able to just go by my name, Selema, and it's nice walking down the street and people are like, yo, Selema, what's up? I'm like, hey, that's me. Thank you.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, it's going to take me a minute because I've known you as Sal for god darn near 15 years now. So it's going to take a minute.
You want to get a quick phonetic lesson?
Let's try it. Okay. I would like to learn, Selema, how to say it correctly. Did that feel natural? Did that feel
that felt so natural.
Well, Selema, this is something that you and I are going to get used to. Oh, man, it was good to see you, man. I miss you in 3D. This quarantine life's crazy. I see you on Instagram staying healthy. I stay in touch with you, but I don't get to see you in person. Tell me, what do you do? Because first, real quick, you sent me to your gym in Venice a long time ago, and I was very intimidated by the level of fitness that you needed to do even just to get into the class. It was very challenging, and I'm pretty in shape guy. And I was like, dude, just to get into this class, you had to do, 50 push-ups in a row, 15 pull-ups, the bike for 20 minutes. And, I could do it. But even just getting in, I was like, oh, dude, I'm not able to, I don't want to compete at this level. So I had to pass. And I texted you and I said, I don't think I can hang. I know you stay in shape.
That text.
What did I say?
I was
what did I say?
It was a classic Simon. You're like, yeah, look, I mean, I appreciate you getting me in there. I don't know. It just seems like it might be a lot, and I don't know if I'm in that space right now. So maybe I think I'm going to dip back into my yoga a little bit and then find some things to do. But no offense, you keep.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah, I was intimidated, man. It was hard. So my point is you stay in really good shape, but you can't go to that class right now. I imagine it's closed, right?
The gym actually just opened because it's 95% outside.
Right.
But I have been training at home.
Okay.
This whole time. I got 2 dumbbells. By the way, getting dumbbells during the height of lockdown was the equivalent of making an arms deal.
Yeah, it's not easy.
2 hours away to make a deal with somebody to get a couple of 55-pound dumbbells. And I do an online workout on this app called Delta Bravo, and every day it's the sort of video coaching that goes on, and yeah, couple dumbbells.
Is that the
and
mirror
body
one?
weight.
Is that the one where you're in the mirror with the trainer? I've heard about that one.
No.
Okay.
That's like from the future.
Okay.
I don't think we could do that.
No.
No, this is just like on an app. It's actually through my gym, Deuce, that they created. Like, okay, how do we like leverage this time?
Right.
When people can't go to the gym, and so built this online version of it where people got dumbbells, and yeah, I've been doing that.
Yeah, I tried to order a kettlebell on Amazon, and it's the same problem. There's no way you're going to get one. So luckily, I got two 25-pound. And what I recently got, I bet you're up on this, is the weighted. It's like a club.
Right? Yeah,
yeah.
It's called there's different sizes. It's called a mace.
Well, no, there's the mace is the big one, and then there's the mini one. It's like almost like a mini baseball bat. So it's called something else, but yeah, it's the same idea.
Oh yeah. It doesn't have the ball on there.
Right. It's just a short one, but it's the same thing. It's just like all the body weight, kind of just like core work. It's you look at it like, oh, I could do that, and then you get it, and it's a lot harder than it looks. But I'm staying in shape. It's great just for strength and mobility. And I think that's one of the crazy things about this time is learning like what you need to stay in shape and how much you can do with just your body. Yep. And what's that? So were you ever into video games or no? Are you a gamer?
I was a heavy gamer.
Right.
But I was always more sports and first person shooter.
Right.
Like long time Madden. I still play a little bit of Madden and NBA 2K.
Right.
And I really enjoyed. I was a Call of Duty guy for a while. I had a weird thing for all of the James Bond first-person shooter games were a big thing for me.
Those were big.
Those are huge. I would stay up all night.
Yep.
For those. What else? The ATV game.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. That was a good one. I remember that.
That was a great one.
Was that PlayStation?
So yeah, I used to spend a lot more. But the new, like the kids games.
Yeah.
I haven't taken myself there yet.
Yeah, I feel like as you get older, video games, they got to be. Your taste in so many things changes. So to play video games as you get older, it's got to be a special game. What was your?
I watch kids like when I watch kids play Fortnite. I'm like, I really so desperately want to understand what's happening here.
Yeah.
But it's so much, and they're laughing at you like, Uncle Sal.
Yeah.
You're so dumb.
Uncle Selema.
Yeah.
Now, okay. So, what was your first video game experience as a kid? Do you remember? Because we watched video games come out. We're about the same age. So, what do you remember your first console? Yeah.
My first was Space Invaders.
Wow. OG.
Space Invaders. I had a friend who had the Atari 5200.
Oh, that was baller because the 26 was the first one. Yep.
If you had the 5200, it meant that you had two parents.
Yep. Still married.
You had two parents, still married. Your dad was bawling.
Yep.
And your mom made treats for all of your friends when they came over. Like it was that kind of household that had a 5200.
That's so funny. It's so true. Yeah. And then there was television was for like
television was another one.
That was
I had ColecoVision.
Oh, Coleco. That was big. Yeah.
ColecoVision. My dad got me ColecoVision one year for my birthday.
So nostalgic. Yeah. I almost want to get those old consoles again just to play those just because it was like it just bring back so many memories. Now, okay. So what was maybe the first game that you fell in love with as a kid? Were you a Mario guy? Were you like, what was as a kid?
I was a Miss Pac-Man guy.
Oh, wow. Very open-minded.
And because she was faster.
She
had
faster.
More sass.
Yeah,
she was faster.
Yeah, and
had more sass. The storyline was far more entertaining.
Yes.
I was a Mario Brothers guy, big time.
Yep.
Galaga could make or break friendships.
Oh yeah. Not to be confused with Galaxia. There was two. There was was it Galaxia? Yeah, there was another one that was that was a big one.
Yeah.
Oh, what about, do you remember putting quarters on the machine at the arcade? Were you that OG? Like that, kids don't understand that.
Like I remember like full on knockdown drag out fights in the arcade.
Oh yeah.
Because people were arguing like where your quarters were in line.
Yep.
And then they used to rock snatch 'em ups where people would be watching, gathered around, and then there would be that one dude who'd be like, shh, like reach in, snatch quarters, and run.
Wow.
And in my neighborhood, that was going to get you. It was not a good look.
So where did you grow up exactly?
I grew up during that time in Staten Island, New York, in the Shaolin, and my dad was in Harlem.
So you're one of the only Shaolin guys because it's interesting for a New Yorker. That's sort of that's like the enigmatic borough. You know, there's a new movie that just came out. I'm sure you're going to want to go see
Yeah,
it about
the King of Staten Island.
Yeah, have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but that's about the other side of the island.
So tell me about Staten Island. What's it like over there? I've been to all the boroughs except Staten Island. And I lived in New York for 5 years.
Well, Staten Island. Wait, you lived in New York for 5 years and you
Yeah.
never came to the Shaolin?
Never once. I barely even back then. I was just stuck in Manhattan. I think I went to the Bronx a couple times. I'd go to Queens
Right.
a lot and Brooklyn a lot, and that's really it. So that was
You also didn't have time. You were like
I was
you were,
partying.
you were a very big deal.
What, you froze? Say that last part again.
I said you were working really hard and you were a very big deal, so you wouldn't have had time to get on the ferry.
I was in my prime. I wasn't leaving Manhattan to go to Staten Island, put it that way. There was too many good things happening in downtown Manhattan for me to go to Staten Island, especially then in the 90s. It was just, there's no reason, you know what I mean? What am I going to do over there? This is back when New York was wild and crazy, and even going to Brooklyn was crazy back then. So,
right.
Yeah.
Brooklyn wasn't popping
like
it is now, and
Nope.
it surely wasn't. The idea of Brooklyn ever being gentrified, people would be like, "What are you crazy?
Yeah,
That's
totally.
never gonna happen."
Yeah, Times Square. Times Square was it was a very crazy place, much less Brooklyn. So yeah, tell me about the Staten Island. What's it like over there? I probably will never go. Sorry.
Staten Island is sort of like one half of it feels like an extension of Jersey, and then the other part of it, where I grew up, is as you get closer to the ferry and closer as the crow flies to the city from the Jersey side of things, is a really cool mix of lots of different ethnicities. So I grew up with everybody. I grew up with like Dominican kids, Puerto Rican kids, Black kids, Eastern European kids, all immigrant families. And it was dope because you just learned about everybody's culture, and you learned a little bit about everybody's traditions and holidays and music, etc. And I was spoiled because I really thought that that's how the rest of the world was.
Right.
But it was really, really dope. Like I went to school with Method Man. We were in the same grade and in the same class together.
Wow.
He was Clifford Smith, his government name.
Uh-huh.
We were in first grade together all the way through 8th grade.
Damn, that's so crazy. I guess the chances of you going to school with a Wu-Tang Clan member being in Staten Island is going to be, there's what, 9? How many members of the Wu-Tang Clan are there? 9 about? Over the history.
9, and then you have like
Golden Arms, and you have the outskirts
your extensions. But
Capadonna,
yes.
yeah.
But the core of the Wu was Clifford Smith. Meth to Cal.
And now he's become an actor. It's cool to see what Method Man did. He's a good actor. Like he's a
great actor.
He's a great actor.
He's been a great actor, low key, for a very long time.
Yeah.
And you know, he made the craft. Like he moved out here, he studied, and it's funny because in Hollywood, it's only now that there's all like a rich landscape and canvas for Black roles that aren't built in the stereotype of what people have been used to seeing as Blackness on television.
Right.
And Meth just like he grinded through all that. It's hard. I remember when I first moved to LA, I moved here to act. I was studying and I was about that. But every time you went out for a role, you know, it would be specifically like to be the Black friend or be, you know, whatever. And there was always like wanted like urban character for this. And you walk in the room and it'd be like the same 50 dudes that you know from around town and that you're all like finding yourself in the Hunger Games with. And I would see Meth at auditions, etc. And I didn't have the patience or the ability to not eat. So hosting became my drive.
Right.
That, but you know, the way people like Meth, like really, really stuck and grinded through it to be seen as an actor is, especially coming from as a poor kid from Staten Island who became a member of one of the most influential groups in the history of hip hop.
Yeah, of music, period. Yeah. So
music period, and then make that transition. It just speaks to who he is.
yeah, he's a legend. You
And
and
he's
I.
also a dope host.
Yeah, he is a good host. He's on what shows he do now? It's like a rap show, battle rap kind of show that he
Yeah,
does
yeah,
now on TNT or something. I can't remember the name right now, but it's
yeah.
like, but yeah, he's great. Man, that guy's super talented. Speaking of hosting, you and I both have done over the years. We kind of have a similar sort of story. You and I came up the same age. We both did the hosting thing. That was our
I only laugh because I was so like C team.
right.
I love how you always say similar.
No,
where
what do you
like
mean?
you were a global superstar, and I was also on television.
It was Drop the Mic was the show. Thank you, Isaac. Drop the Mic is the show that he hosts. No, what do you mean? You were hosting the X Games. It doesn't get bigger than that, right? What else did you host? You did a lot of stuff.
I hosted the X Games for 13 years.
Olympics, didn't you do?
I did the Olympics.
Come on, man.
I did the World Cup.
That's
of
global.
Soccer in South Africa. I had my own news show, gossip show for 4.5 years every night on the Daily 10.
That's right. I remember that. Dude, that's big. That's bigger than
than
I've done. I've only done MTV. It was just MTV was the shit at the time, but you've done global. Yeah. I mean, we both did big things is my point.
We did. We both did big things.
And hosting.
And it was crazy because Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say hosting's such a fun thing that comes natural, I think, to you and me. Acting's, very challenging. You got to get into the role, but being a host, you get to just be yourself, and I think that's very fun and loose. And back at MTV, it would just be on live television. It was so intimidating because it'd be in front of millions of people live, and you get used to
it. With just cue cards.
Yeah, cue cards. Dude.
With just cue cards. No prompter.
No prompter. A card.
At MTV, it was like cue cards, and they'd say, okay, you got a minute and 30 seconds.
Dude.
And then sometimes, what's his name? I forget his name. He'd be sitting there behind the camera.
Stretch it out.
Stretch.
Yeah, stretch it out. Go longer. And
stretch it out. Stretch it out. Go longer. And you just had to dance.
Damn, dude, it's so crazy that you're one of the only people that knows what that's like. And I remember when I interviewed Tupac, which is sort of like the big one that I got to do was interview. I've interviewed some amazing people, but Tupac's probably the one that like you'll tell your grandchildren about. And I just remember we were at an MTV event. I was done working and I have a couple drinks and they're like, Tupac just got here. You got to interview him. I'm like, I can't interview Tupac. They're like, don't worry, you got this. And they just put up the camera live in front of the world, and I had to interview Tupac, and I was so nervous.
You killed that.
I did. I watched it recently. It's cringe town.
You posted it. You reposted it not too long ago.
I did.
And I just remember thinking like, damn, this motherfucker. Like, so incredible that you got to do that, and you always knew how to settle in to the energy of who you were talking to, which is what I loved about you, man. Like, you remained yourself, but you knew how to like not be bigger than the person. And a lot of the talent at that time thought of themselves as like the thing. And so they'd always like kind of miss the opportunity to showcase the artist. And that's what I thought you got on their level, but you never tried to like be bigger than who you were talking to.
I wonder
you had the reverence.
Well, thank you. And I wonder if that's conscious or unconscious, because I don't know if I ever thought that, but I think it's just an instinct. You don't want to outshine the guest.
You either are that person or you aren't.
Yeah, and it's about the guest. You just kind of were lobbing up the questions, and I remember MTV told me they're like, I remember them just telling me like, just ask the question and shut the hell up. Just let them. It's about them. You don't have to do much. Don't worry about making it about you. And that was like a big one. Like, oh, okay, I don't have to like do the song and dance. Just let the guest shine. And that was sometimes though the guest wouldn't be the type of you had to kind of carry it if they weren't.
Yeah. But if you use that as your intention, you always end up looking like a star.
Right.
Because you're the person who interviewed. You did that dope interview with such and such, and I learned so much about them. Right. And then people are interested in you. And one of the things that I loved about what we were talking about earlier is that because it was just cue cards, bullet points, no script, and that you're gonna have to stretch.
Yeah.
We learned how to be comfortable and not in being ourselves, like using ourselves for the thing, as opposed to, oh God, well, I don't know what to do now if you're not telling me what to say, which unfortunately a lot of television has become.
Yeah. And Yeah, that was, and back when we were doing it, that was kind of, there wasn't too many places to go to. Now there's just so much stuff between the internet and social media. Back when we were doing it, there was only a few places to even go see anything. And MTV was like, man, it was a one-stop shop. Working at MTV, that was where everybody went to see what's cool and what's new. And it was just like, I was in that world. And I remember overnight going from just nobody to getting recognized on the street, and it just scared me. It was like, whoa, dude, this is weird. Like I in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm not anything special, but people are like, coming up. And it was funny is I was a VJ on MTV playing videos, so people thought that I made the call on what was played as if it was my call. So people come up, man, you got to play Wu-Tang more or whatever. I'm like, dude, it's not up to me. It's a business. It's people just didn't understand, dude. Yeah.
That's so funny. I remember after I did my first real big break was MTV, on the MTV Sports and Music Festivals. And I just remember like that was we shot that from Thursday to Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the pre stuff that we shot during the week. And then that Monday, I remember getting back home and going out to the bar, and it was on. People just like, you're that dude.
Yep.
We watched you. And like you said, like people didn't have options.
Nope.
So if it was a thing,
Ooh, the remix.
and then he promoted it, and people are gonna hang out and have people over to watch the thing all weekend.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You keep going through a laser time warp internet matrix, but it's okay. I think I got the gist of what you're saying. Basically, you're saying that back then there wasn't too many options, and now there is. Now, real quick, Sal, recently you had something really beautiful happen that I watched, and I had to hit you up about it. Was it a paddle out? You want to walk us through what that was, and I'll regurgitate it wrong. Tell me what happened.
No worries. Let me know if the Matrix tries to bite us
Okay.
while I'm telling the story.
It's like every 4 minutes it happens. I'll let you know.
So in the wake of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery, when things really got lifted to the point where it was like, okay, can't stay home anymore, need to go out, and it was a lightning rod moment, I think, for not just the discussion of police aggression and brutality, but just racism as in general. Black people just kind of having to be silent and figure out how to navigate through like microaggressions in different spaces and places. And for me, I'd always experienced it in some ways in surfing. And the surf community traditionally never wanted to come out and support these kind of movements. It was always comfortably on the sidelines. And some other Black surfers that I know said, hey, we're gonna do a paddle out for George Floyd in Encinitas in North County of San Diego, where I grew up. And my first thought was like, yeah, I don't know how many people are going to come out for that, but also I'm down, because if we can get some people to come out and sort of tell a little bit of this story and how we're all responsible, with the idea that like freedom and equality for one group is freedom and equality for everyone. And if those people don't have it, you actually don't have it either. And here's the part where we all kind of participate in the thing. So the paddle out ceremony traditionally comes from the Hawaiians and the Polynesians as a way to paddle out and honor someone who has departed. So you get all of, a ton of surfers that paddle out, form a circle in the ocean, throw flowers into the middle, splash water around, and sort of honor the spirit of this person. So it was interesting to think that like, oh, we could apply it to this movement. Here's something that's really that the entire surf community holds dear. Everyone has done one if you've lost someone in your life, in your community. And I was like, wow, I wonder if people will come out for this. And beyond my wildest dreams, like a couple of thousand people showed up at the beach, and 99.9% of them were white people, but they were white people that weren't there because like, oh, this will be a fun thing to do. But they were there because they finally realized that they needed to get off the sidelines and participate and use their voices. So people painted their surfboards and made signs and brought their kids. And you could see that for a lot of them, it was the first time that their kids were seeing what their civil responsibility could be to stand up for others. And it was powerful. And I gave a speech that ended up being filmed, and they made this piece that went out the next day, and it kind of ended up going viral in a way that I never could have imagined. And I was very proud to be a surfer that day. And I was proud of the surf community. And I thought to myself, well, if the surf community that normally wants nothing to do with anything that doesn't have to do with, yeah, bro, wants to stand up and say like, hey, we're going to be anti-racist and we're going to make this a part of who we stand for as a culture. That really began to give me hope in what's possible for the masses. And in the wake of all that, there is an awareness. There's been this real movement of people who are like, oh, I kind of have been willfully ignorant and thought that because I don't see color or any of these things, I don't have a problem. And people are starting to stand up and realize like, I need to take responsibility. I need to get educated and I need to do my part.
Right.
And it gives me hope.
Yeah, that video is beautiful. For anyone watching, go check out your Instagram. Did you change? What's the Instagram so people could see this? Because it's beautiful.
My Instagram is @Selema, @SELEMA.
Okay, and now people could go see that video. It's probably whenever you watch this. I would say the date is roughly what was the date around that, so they could just find it. It's like a long video. It's like a 2-minute long video. Anyway,
yeah,
it's on your page. Laser time warp.
It's good TV. It's really simple there.
You went into the Matrix again, but you made it out. You made it out.
Okay, cool. No, just go. Best thing to do is just go to my IGTV.
Okay. Yep.
You'll see it. It's just the title is "Paddle Out for George Floyd."
Beautiful. And you surf. You surf. You snowboard. We've been snowboarding together. You do MMA because you have the cauliflower ear, which you can't tell right now on the monitor, but you have cauliflower ear, which means, yep. Now that's from doing jiu-jitsu, and that's a sign of a warrior. Now I want to know something. You do Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. What is your program?
I don't train jiu-jitsu that much anymore. I like to think of myself as America's most mildly dangerous white belt.
All right, good. I like that. All right, that's fair enough. I was a white belt for a while. That's jiu-jitsu was no joke, man. I did it for like a year, and it's very humbling, man. That's a humbling one.
What's I love about jiu-jitsu is that it's chess. It's mind chess.
Yep.
And it's a lot like surfing where if you have like a 10-foot wave coming for you, panicking is not going to do anything for you. You have to really relax.
Yep.
And understand that you know how to flow with the water and that you're going to come back up. And it's the same thing when someone's trying to kill you and trying to squeeze the life out of you in jiu-jitsu. Like any amount of panic is not going to be a good outcome. So you have to learn how to relax,
right?
Be patient, and even under the most duress, like the most stress, to figure out how to alter the situation. And it's mind chess.
Yeah.
It's for as stressful as it is, it's super relaxing that way.
Well, that's the word equanimous comes to mind, because to be able to be calm in the eye of the storm, if you could apply that to everything in life as a metaphor through your practice, then that's the secret to life, man. To be able to stay calm in a road rage incident instead of meeting them at that level of stress, or in any real moment when it's that moment of truth, can you just be chill? I think about my friend Crone Gracie. Speaking of jiu-jitsu, his nickname's Ice Cream Crone because he's one of the best in the world, and his whole thing is how calm and reserved he is in the moment of battle, which, man, that's the business right there, man. So that's one thing I did learn from jiu-jitsu was like, okay, I remember I got to train in front of Helio Gracie. He's the guy who brought, jiu-jitsu to the West, basically. He started it in Brazil. So that's amazing. Yeah, this is Hickson's father, and he was about 92 years old, and this was in Torrance, and I was training with Henry Gracie, and I remember I was rolling. He would come sit in front of a little chair in front of each student individually training, and exactly what we're talking about. I did, what I had learned in a year in front of him with Henry Gracie. And he said in Portuguese, he translated it to me after. He goes, Simon knows all the moves, but he's too stiff. He needs to relax and breathe into it more. And I was like, tell me something I don't know. That's everything in life. But that was a big lesson. It was like, yeah, dude, just breathe and relax. So then my homework became after that was, while doing jiu-jitsu, how to breathe and relax instead of being so tight. Same thing like if you're riding on a bike or you're in a car, like the more tight you are, the more you're gonna get hurt, with anything. So it's all about relaxing, which I'm still working on. This was 20 years ago and I'm still working on that.
Listen, I was talking about this with a lady friend the other day. If you're for me, especially as I head towards this next chapter of what life looks like, I'm like, I'm really comfortable, and it gives me confidence to know that like I'm going to be doing the work on myself in various ways for the rest of my life.
Yep.
If I'm doing it right. Like if I'm doing it right, as long as I'm here, it's about trying to figure out those continued ways to grow and unlock potential for as long as you're here. Like the idea that you ever are going to have it all figured out
Yep.
is the biggest lie that we've ever been told. I think especially as dudes, right? Because we kind of get fed this idea that like you're gonna have it all sorted out, and that's gonna make you attractive to somebody, and you're the man. That just doesn't really gel with me anymore. And I like the idea of being like, I'm a boy investigating the idea of manhood for the rest of my existence.
You're absolutely right. No, once you say like I got it figured out, then you have nothing more to learn. Then you lost. You always got to be curious and want to learn more, and that's exactly what I think. I've been guilty of that before when I was younger. Like you get cocky and you're like, no, I know. No, actually, the older you get, the less you know. In meaning that you're humbled by how much there still is to learn, which is important. And it's kind of a liberating thing too, to be like, oh wait, okay, no, let's pull up a chair. It's time to keep learning, like forever with everything. You'd never like get it figured out. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off.
Yeah, it does. It's a good thing. Yeah,
it's a great thing.
So you don't do any fighting practice anymore? You're more just into like working out to stay healthy during the pandemic. You're moving it around. You're staying healthy. That's your jam.
Yeah, I'd like to. I just got a couple of new gis.
Okay.
And if we're ever allowed to touch each other again randomly, especially in man-on-man sweat dancing on the floor,
yep,
it is my intention to get back into jiu-jitsu.
So that's a good point. So I'm seeing that UFC still has fights going on, and obviously the arena's empty. But as far as like training in a camp and stuff, how does that work right now? Do they just have to test everyone in your camp who you roll with? How do these fighters stay in shape? I don't understand how that works.
They're testing. They're testing relentlessly, and they're making, as you're hearing, I think across the board in sports, they're just making these bubbles.
Right.
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 You gotta agree that like no new people, no new what Drake said, no new friends. It's a Drake song.
Right.
Where there's no new friends in the bubble during training camp, and then even when they're gonna do this big one, they announced either in Dubai or Qatar, but on this island. But they're going to have to quarantine for 2 weeks there before the fights,
right,
and all that, regimented, heavy duty testing.
So, okay, real quick. So, let's see what else. So tell me what you've been doing to stay like, how strict are you being in the pandemic? Are you locking it down? I know you live at the beach. Do you get to get outside and move it around a little? Like, what's your level of lockdown like?
My level of lockdown initially was like 100% lockdown, except to go to the market and then like go out by myself. But I didn't build like a circle or anything. Like the first 8 weeks, I was by myself. It was just as by myself as could be. And I've definitely eased out of that and probably gotten a little too lax in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Because I was out at the protests.
Yep.
And then, friends are like, hey, you want to come over for dinner? You're like, yes, I do. I want to sit and so I extended my circle to a few people. But I'm definitely just trying to remain aware. Like I don't want to wake up in fear of this thing every day.
Right.
I think that really like it breaks you. And for a while, like I was having problems just even sleeping. My dreams were literally peppered between COVID and civil rights.
Well, dude, I feel you, man. There's times where in the beginning where I'd wake up every night in the middle of the night and I couldn't sleep for an hour or two, and I'd just get up and it was just so on my mind. It's like, yeah, we're traumatized by what's going on. You wouldn't be, You wouldn't have a soul if you didn't, react that way. I had the same exact thing. And then you get used to it. That's the kind of the problem is you get used to this crazy new world we're living in a pandemic, and it becomes normal to wear your mask at the store and look at everyone else with a mask and then all these things. It's like I kind of go through phases where I get comfortable with it and then I freak out again. And I try to minimize the news. I'm sure I think you mentioned you do the same. You don't watch the news too much, but you want to stay plugged in.
I'm not watching the news too much. I try to read from sources that I appreciate, but it's just all so much.
Yeah.
And the idea, like, I just never thought that at the very beginning that a thing that's affecting the whole world, that some people would be like, hey, this seems like a good football for us to make political.
Right.
And now we find ourselves in this space, right, where you got a bunch of states that were like, freedom. Mm-hmm. And now, like, their numbers are like beyond New York.
Not freedom. Yeah, totally. Yep.
You're like, oh, all right, cool. I guess we're going to have to wait for y'all. So I don't know. I'm trying to be as responsible as possible. I'm going for an antibodies test and a COVID test tomorrow.
Yep. Good.
Both, just for a little peace of mind. But getting outside as much as possible has been key for me.
Yeah,
like,
you got to get you got to get that fresh air, dude. And you got to
get that fresh air. You got to get that vitamin D. Yep. You got to be able to figure out ways to detach your presence from being in the thing.
Yeah.
So the ocean has been great for me since we can surf. I've been in the ocean, and I go hike the local mountains like Temescal and stuff. And I either go at the crack of dawn,
yep, or
at sunset, so that I don't have to like be in the mix with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And that's just what works for me.
Yeah. Good for you. Now, so we've snowboarded before. What do you prefer? Are you if you were stuck and you could only do one forever, would it be surfing or snowboarding? Where's your heart lay?
That's so hard.
It's a tough one. Because I'm just learning to surf and I'm kind of getting into it. But snowboarding, to me, there's something about that mountain. But then the ocean is the most beautiful source of anything. It's hard to beat.
I love them. I've been doing them both for the equal amount of time. Like I started surfing at 16 and a half, and I started snowboarding 5 months later. Yeah. And I've been doing them both with the same amount of passion. But I guess if I just had to give one up, I mean, I love being in the backcountry so much.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Lake Tahoe.
Tahoe, Canada. But I probably would take surfing.
You would take surfing or give it up? You would keep surfing?
I would keep surfing.
Yeah, because the beach is the beach. I'd rather be warm than cold at the end of the day. That's probably what it comes down to.
I would keep surfing. But I would be sad that entire rest of my life about not being able to snowboard.
Yeah. Oh, man. I missed the mountain. I only went once in the last year, and then I've only gone like 2 times the last 2 years, and man, do I miss it. That is.
I got to take you.
Yeah. We got to go to.
I got to take you to Baldface.
Where's that?
Baldface.
Where's that?
Interior British Columbia.
Oh, wow.
Outside of Nelson. It's 4 days of catboarding in the backcountry.
So that's one thing below heliboarding. That's when you take the cat. You're basically getting the fresh powder, similar to heliboarding without the helicopter, right?
Yeah, we take a heli out to the spot.
Oh, man. That's what's up, man. I got to do that. Yeah, I've been catboarding once, and that was the best run I've ever had in my life. Was in Colorado, and it was a cat ride up, and I just had the best champagne morning run. And looked back up, and it was just my line in champagne pink waist high powder. I was like, oh, that might be the best I ever get.
Imagine that for 4 days.
Oh, I can't even imagine. We got to do that, man. I feel like I'm starting to get to me. I'm really missing for the first time, I know you haven't been to Burning Man, but I'm really bummed there's no Burning Man happening. I'm really bummed I can't snowboard. I actually went up with my girlfriend, and we hiked up the backside of Big Bear and snuck in, hiked it, and rode down the backside of Big Bear because the lifts were closed, but we got one run in.
Yeah, I remember you told me that.
Yeah, we got one run in. We hiked for an hour to do a 10-minute run. It was worth it. So I'm missing stuff.
I'm bummed about Burning Man, too, because I feel like this is the first year that my body actually, I would feel confident walking around,
yes.
In just a loincloth.
Yes, that's what you'd be wearing. But now it's going to be a virtual burn, and it's just not going to be the same.
It's not going to be a virtual burn.
It's the VR version.
Are you serious?
No, they're doing it. They're doing like the, I forget it's this, like a VR version. They have a VR burning experience you could do, but it's not the same. You got to smell people's BO and be walking through it and feel it. It's not something you could just do in VR. So real quick, I want to show, I know you're a gamer. I want to show you real quick. Let's roll a clip of this video game because I want to explain to you what this game's all about real quick. Here we go. This is a clip of FUSER. Now, as you can see now, you're a DJ, right? I know that's one thing you haven't done in your life, Selema. You've done everything but DJ. So here, now you're a DJ, and you're pulling parts from different songs. So you're pulling a part from, you know, this rock song and pulling the vocals from this hip-hop song, and you're mashing them up as if you were a world-famous DJ, but you're in your living room. So yeah, you get to be a DJ in your crib and be a rock star. That sounds like something that'd be fun during a pandemic, wouldn't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I love, you know, I love music. I make music, but I've never DJ'd, and that's something that I would enjoy. So I would get very into this.
I think you would, and I know you do make music. Real quick, what is some of the music that inspires you? We know your dad was a legendary musician, so you grew up with that in your family, and you recently have done music. Was it with Sonny? Who did you do music with again? Sonny.
So I make music under the name Alakazam, which is Masekela backwards.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So if you go on Spotify or Tidal or whatever, just look up Alakazam, and you'll be like, oh, look at him.
Didn't you play a festival? I thought I saw that you did some.
Yeah. I played Bonnaroo.
Dude.
Played Afropunk Paris.
Is that your siren or mine? Which crime? Oh, that's Venice. It's Venice. Yeah.
Venice. You know how we get down.
That's part of the ambiance there.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
sorry
like
to cut
birds.
you off.
Like birds chirping.
Yeah. So wait, sorry to cut you off. So you played Bonnaroo. What else did you? What other?
Bonnaroo.
Yeah.
And Afropunk Paris.
Okay. How cool is that to travel and do music? That's yeah. Sorry, you got cyberspaced again.
Crazy.
No, you're back.
You know,
we lost you. You're
sorry.
back. No, it's okay.
It's
you're back.
no, it's.
Well, no. Okay, you're back. What you played in Paris? That's where we got cyber cut off. Please continue.
Yeah, played in Paris at Afropunk.
Okay.
Played Bonnaroo here, and then been on the road a few times. Played a lot locally in LA, and had the music do some cool things. Music's been on big shows. We were on Entourage and a few others, and you know how that feels when you get the dope sync and people are like, "Yo, was that you?"
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
It feels good.
Dude, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, I got to check out your music. For anyone listening to the show, watching the show, please go check out Selema's music. It's your name spelled backwards. It kind of sounds like Alakazam or something. It sounds like a magic movie.
It is Alakazam.
But isn't that an existing term? I feel like that's an existing thing.
It is. It's an existing magic term. But Masekela backwards is Alakazam. So I was like, I got to run with that.
It was meant to be. It's magical, baby. Dude, I want to thank you.
I did do it with Sonny Levine, who, through the work that you've done with Yeshi.
Yeah, Mickey Avalon, baby.
Those small records that you did with Mickey Avalon.
Oh, man. Me and Mickey got to hang out the other day. It was awesome. I love that dude.
How is that little angel bird?
He's doing good, man. He's hanging in there. Times are tough. He's a good painter, so he's been painting lately. I think this pandemic, for one thing that's been good, is people are kind of getting back to the things they love to do while they're kind of reflecting and staying home. I think this is a good reset for everybody at the end of the day. But, dude, thank you for your time. I'll let you go.
Hey, I love you, Simon.
Cyber hug. Love you. And we'll talk soon, baby. All right?
See you at the wave pool.
Thank you, baby. Love you. All right. Thank you, Selema Masekela. Correction. I'm learning. This is weird because I've known him as Sal for so long. Now he's Selema, but I approve and I like the name. So I just got to get used to that. So I want to thank Selema for being on the show. All you guys, be sure to stay tuned. I'll be back with another episode soon of Between the Speakers. FUSER, thank you so much. What a game. What a time to be alive. You know what? I can't wait to play this game, and neither can you, baby. I'll see you guys next week. Between the speakers. Between the speakers, between the speakers. Between